Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. It's a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. So the important news and editorial that are relevant for the preparation of civil services examination will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with the news topic list. Today is 10th of January. The first important news, that is the open access movement. This is from the text and context page of the Hindu. Second, over lack of post lying vacant in the Indian Railways. Third, CRPF to provide arms training to civilian in Jammu and Kashmir. And I'll be discussing two editorial for the day. The first is from the Hindu, that is a step towards fighting corruption. And the other editorial is from the Indian Express, that is securing the cyberspace for the children. Apart from the news and editorial discussion, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based questions. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further delay, let's get started. And before I begin this session, those of you who are new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful, do not forget to press a like button. Starting the session with the first news, that is the open access movement, something important for general studies paper 2 under the subtopic, that is issues related to development and management of education and human resources. So this is a news which we can use as an example purposes also, and very much relevant for general studies paper 2, right? Especially अगर GS2 की बात करें, वहाँ पे काफी ज़्यादा relevant. Open access, as the term, is associated with certain practices in academic publishing which improve the access to scholarly work. Basically, जितने भी educational institutions हैं, उनमें जो research practices की जाती हैं, उनमें access को uniform बनाने की कोशिश करने के लिए, and these are the part of the initiative that call for an open access to the content that is useful for the researcher and students. So an open access is a scientific paper that will be free and fully accessible. I'll tell you what are the Government of India initiative, जहाँ पे one nation one publications की बात की गई है. That is again going to be important for the prelims examination as such. I'll discuss that in the later part of the video. Now the open access movement is a prominent today because of the high cost of accessing of the scientific papers. क्या rational है open access की? First is the pricing. If you see the international journal, the pricing are very high, and there is a subscription process which go hand in hand, which cost a lot more to the universities. So it's common for the paper published by the many university, and even it costs, if you read a single journal, it costs you $15 plus to read, and if you have a permanent access, it costs you $30 for the access, for the permanent access. And subscriptions to the journal has also become more expensive, costing universities several crore across the country, right? So this is not only for India, specifically many other countries have the problem, that the reason being a concept of open access has been envisaged. Now, talking about the Government of India initiatives and role in terms of making it more uniform, the Government of India has come up with one nation one subscription scheme. So India has recently took a step where the scheme is known as one nation one step scheme, one subscription scheme, and the government instead of universities will negotiate with the publishers for the capped and the fixed fee for access to the paper, right? This will be funded by the state government as well, and to pay fees that so that everyone in the country can read paper with no additional cost. So basically, Government of India will bear the part. The center plus the state will bear the entire cost, and this will be made accessible to all the research scholar. The Education Ministry has so far shortlisted 70 publishers to implement the deadline by 1st of April 2023. The Government of India directly negotiate करेंगी publishers के साथ, and these publishers will help the government universities to get the access of the journal that is essentially required. Now, how the papers are published, talking about the International Research Journal. So what are the procedures that are involved? So, talking about the first one, the scientists write up a paper and submit it to a journal because a journal is an entity that used to publish it. तो publication जो है वो journal की तरफ से की जाती है. For anything what you've written has to be published in a specific journal, right? अगर आपने कोई book लिखी है, then you have to go to any publishing house, right? Now, editors at the journal share the manuscript. Basically, जो भी raw data होती है उसे manuscript कहते हैं. So the raw data or basically the manuscript that is there will be have a peer reviewer and expert will scrutinize, उसकी analysis की जाएगी, उसकी scrutiny की जाएगी, उसकी review होती है that what are the changes that is required, right? And once they are finalized, after the review is completed, the draft is finalized and a journal is published. Basically, it can be on a print format, it can be hard copy, soft copy, online, or both of them. Now, in a subscription model, paper published online are behind a paywall. A paywall fees जो है that increase in leap over the time. Now the other part is the future of open access, how the access need to be there for all the aspirants, all the future scholars that trying to access to some of the important relevant documents. Now UNESCO in 2021 has recommended for open science, asked for no one left behind, एक initiative है इनकी which call for like access to scientific and benefits from the scientific progress as the countries confront epochal problem in global warming and zoonose. So the contemporary focus is meant to secure the open access adaptation. तो खास करके यूनेस्को की initiatives की बात करें, this is somewhere closely aligned to the open access initiative, right? And in 2018, an international consortium has also created an initiative called Plan S. So this is also inclined towards the initiative of open access, which call for a universalization of the access and one subscription process. The member organization under the Plan S work to ensure that from 2021 onwards, there's a part of scientific publication from the research journal and the research funded by the public grant are published in the compliant OA journal or a platform. तो जो open access platform है उन पे इनकी accessibility को बढ़ाई जाएगी and this will also call for the creation of the part of the development process, right? This is how this will actually work. Now in January 2021, Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation or Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation has deployed a policy to enable the unrestricted access and reuse of its all peer-reviewed publication research in a whole or part funded by the foundation. So definitely there's a lot of work that is done by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They are working for a social cause and they're working at the global level. तो उसमें इन्होंने एक access की भी, एक unrestricted access की भी contribution की है. Other research funding organization has been publishing the similar policies as well. Now, if you talk about the benefits of open access, what are the major advantages? First, it called for an increased visibility, increased citation rate, drivers innovation, and drive innovation. Definitely, if they have access, suppose a researcher who is basically trying to get the research done, अगर उसको already कुछ important accessibility मिलेगी research papers related, he will drive in more innovation on that part, right? Global impact है इसकी, public access is increased and comply with the funder policies. The other part, like, so citations rate is 62% in open access and in subscription model it is 38%. So this is an example which you can even use in your mains paper, right? Now moving ahead with other news, over lack of post lying vacant in Indian railways, right? Something important for general studies paper 2, that is welfare schemes for the vulnerable section of the population by the center and the state government. So responding to the start question in the Rajya Sabha, the Ministry of Railway Communications, Electronic and Information Technology, this is by the minister, he himself has said that Indian Railway is reeling under the crush of staff with a vacancy of 3.12 lakh non-gazetted posts lying vacant across 18 zones in the country as on December 1st, 2022. So this is the harsh reality of the shortage of the manpower and even the paucity that Indian Railway is facing in terms of the employees. In November 2022, the National Railway Mazdoor Union, also known as NRMU, इन्होंने protest भी की थी Central Railway को, and at Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus in front of the Divisional Railway Manager Office. And if they call that the vacancies which are there should be fulfilled and to express this connect over the vacancies. तो already इस तरह की initiative union की तरफ से ली जा चुकी है, but there's no concrete action that is coming out directly from the railways part. Now, vacancy details की अगर बात करें, the highest number of the posts that is vacant in the northern zone, that is 38,754, that is followed by the western, that is 30,476, then eastern 30,144, and for the central there's 28,650. These are the zonal vacancies that is operating, right? So railway function as per the zone, जो railway की functioning होती है वो zonal basis पे की जाती है. And the other part, that the central railway is basically has almost 2,650 posts. Almost 50% of the vacancies are on the part of safety categories, primarily include the maintenance staff, right? इसमें जो post vacant है maintenance staff की, such as inspector of the various kind, drivers, examiners, stunners, and other several. The non-gazetted posts include a range of employment categories from engineers, technicals to clerk, station master, ticket collectors, and many more. The inability to fill the post has led to employee working overtime. So definitely for this overtime, there's no extra amount that is paid. So ना तो amount मिलती है, ना ही promotions के possibility या prospects बढ़ते हैं. So there people are actually working under stress, and even the department is not working with the full potential. So the need of the hour is to have the recruitment drive to fill as much as vacant position which is available with the Indian Railways. Now, consequences क्या है staff के shortage की और इसके क्या negative impact? Definitely, it has a huge negative impact, right? So the shortage of the staff has led to numerous ticket booking windows being renders as non-operational, leading to the long queues and congestions. आपने भी कई railways में देखी होंगी, because there's only single window or 2 or 3 windows that is operating for many like larger stations or bigger station, or basically for the junctions part they have more windows, but for normal railway station you'll not find that much. It has also led to the outsourcing of ticket services. जो railway employees अगर private parties की बात करें, they earn 3 rupees on every 100 rupees of ticket they sold, and this is calling for the ticket booking window. So the private entities are also earning a lot more money in terms of booking a ticket. Now, CRPF to provide arms training to civilian in Jammu and Kashmir. Something important for General Studies Paper 2 under the subtopic, that is the government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from its design and implementations. So to counter any future terror attack, the Central has deputed Central Reserve Police Force or CRPF. तो CRPF की attachment की जाएगी वहाँ के locals के साथ to give armed training to the Village Defense Committee in the Jammu and Kashmir. So earlier this was known as VDC, now in a VDG बोला जाएगा, that is Village Defense Guard. So the recent attack which was there in the Dangri and Rajouri sector of the Jammu and Kashmir region, which took place on 1st and 2nd, right, where 2 children were also killed. So आप इस particular initiative को यूक्रेन से भी relate कर सकते हैं, where Ukraine before the attack from Russia has actually trained their civilian, right? तो training दी गई थी उनको. And this was a training that has actually helped them, and the people has participated in the training process which was given by the military personnel. This was the images that was released officially, that how the training process is being concluded in Jammu and Kashmir region. Now there's a village defense committee. This is not new, although this were functional earlier also. ये functions कर रही है. This was first constituted in 1995 in 10 districts of Jammu, where the members were from the Hindi community were targeted by the terrorists, and these were disbanded later amid the allegations of crime including the abductions and rape cases. The VDC are making a comeback after almost 3 decades. In March 2022, the Union Home Ministry had decided to re-establish the VDC and renamed them as a Village Defense Guard. तो अब इसे VDC नहीं, इसे VDG के नाम से जाना जाएगा, that is the Village Defense Staff. The Jammu and Kashmir administration has recently stated reissuing the weapons to the Village Defense Guard as well. Weapons training की अगर बात करें, this will be done by the CRPF, Central Reserve Police Force, and the training will be given to the Village Defense Guard, and they can also act as a first line of defense in case of terrorist attack. The modalities of the new proposal is still being planned, and the volunteers will be trained on the basic combat exercise. The VDC has also been activated along the Indo-Pakistan international border in Jammu region, Samba and Kathua district of the Jammu and Kashmir. Collaborations की जा रही है जम्मू कश्मीर की पुलिस के साथ भी. The program will be in collaborations with the Jammu and Kashmir, who will set the candidate and are to be trained. The JNK administration has asked the VDG to remain vigilant in the view of upcoming Republic Day celebrations amid the fear of the terrorist may erupt a peaceful atmosphere in the Jammu region. So this is a kind of a precaution measures, a preventive measures that the central government has taken. Now, moving to the first editorial of the day, this is from the Hindu. A step towards fighting corruption, something important for General Studies Paper 2. Under the subtopic, important aspect of governance, transparency, accountability, and e-governance. So what are the issues under this editorial? First, talking about the theme of this editorial. The editorial focuses upon a theme of corruptions. There's some important issues underlining this editorial include the Supreme Court ruling, two aspects to fighting corruptions everywhere, and the conclusion part. So in a recent judgment by Honorable Supreme Court in the case which was registered as Neeraj Datta versus State, that is the government of NCT Delhi, National Capital Territory of Delhi, the constitutional bench of the Supreme Court has come down heavily on the issue of corruption, specifically for the public servant in the country, and lower the bar of the quantum of evidence required to convict a person charged with the corruption. तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कैटेगोरिकली कहा ऐसे सर्वेंट्स जो कि करप्शन के चार्जेस में पाए जाएंगे उनके लिए एविडेंस की बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ी. So this was not for the first time that the Supreme Court was speaking on endemic corruption in our system, but in spite of the unequivocal stand, the extent of corruption in the public has remained undiminished. अभी तक उसे पूरी तरह से कर्ब कर पाने में काफी हद तक नाकामी ही हासिल हुई है. The Supreme Court ruling, the Supreme Court debunks the myth that the absolute proof of guilt alone cannot help a convict or offender. So, court ने कहा है that the court has not laid down if the prosecution's witness turns hostile, and even the prosecution's, which is if all circumstances evidence अगर उनके खिलाफ नहीं भी मिलती, then they will not be like getting the benefit out of it, और कहीं ना कहीं accused के खिलाफ जो भी evidence होगी, the Supreme Court or any court will be using to find and convict them. Now, there's a great step towards ensuring the integrity in the public services, especially for the superior services such as IAS and IPS. So those of you, definitely you people are an aspirant of civil services examination. Corruption in these services is a big malice. You have to admit the fact. And although this is very evident of the fact that this is actually functioning in our system, which is very bad, right? Now, there are two aspects to fight the corruption. There are two aspects. The first is the severity of the law and its implications. And second is the strength of the public opinion that would help to carry forward the campaign for clean public life. Now, both are equally important if we are to rid off from the country and weakest link in flourishing the bureaucracy. So we have to definitely curb down the corruption so that this do not flourish further. Now, other part, that is the corruptions everywhere. This is an evident from the state government to the central level. So the point that is being highlighted, will this judgment of the Supreme Court, that is in the Neeraj Datta versus the state, will alter the face of corruption? क्या इसके कुछ consequences होंगे? क्या ये help करेगी या aid करेगी corruptions को कम करने में? The corruption in the public service will find more means to cover up their needs. This is because they are willing for efforts to bribe the public servants either on their own or the demand. So nexus जो है वो victims and the victim, the nexus between the offenders and the victim has become the path of ethos. Even the citizen has somewhere basically adjusted themselves in giving money or bribe to get the work done. Now, this is an undeniable fact that misdeeds of public servants are partly attributed due to political corruption. This is again a big reason of the corruption that is still existing in our country. Several public servants involved in this racket are illegal, rapacious demand from the political hierarchy as a reason for such bribe. The political जो उनके seniority से लोग हैं, and even the people who are actually supervising them are also the main reason behind the huge corruption that is operating. Now, conclusions की अगर बात करें, the latest Supreme Court judgment may not deter people from the corruption. However, there's no reason for us to give up the fight. We have to definitely come up with an initiative where everyone, right, for any state, specifically for Delhi, that claim that there's an anti-corruption wing, anti-corruption branch. This is something already operational in many states, but उनके जो results हैं वो काफी तक poor है. So it is there that we enlighten opinion leaders which are not scared of taking off the powerful elements in politics and even in the part of the administration. And this has to be worked upon in a condition that the government, the citizen are working in a coordination and there's no scope of corruption that is evolving. Now, moving ahead with the other editorial, this is the second editorial from the Indian Express, that is securing the cyberspace of children. Something important for General Studies paper 2, that is the welfare schemes for the vulnerable section of the population by the center and the state government. So something important that under this editorial will be covering. First, talking about the theme of this editorial, that is online content and child vulnerabilities. Something important issues include the child sexual abuse and exploitation, evolving digital landscape and IT, strategies to tackle online and sexual content exploitation and abuse part, model national response or way forward. So we'll be looking into important aspect of this so that the things are easily understandable to you and you can even contemplate in the part of the mains examination. Now, multiple lockdowns during the COVID-19 has forced children to turn into internet. Basically, this is with regards to the education, entertainment, everywhere that is lying between them, right? So during the COVID-19 lockdown, a lot of essentiality of internet was required. A lot more of people were able to access the internet via their laptop or desktops. This has led to the increase on average screen time of the student. कंपेटिवली जो कि बहुत कम हुआ करती थी क्लास के बच्चों को जनरली तो दे डोंट गेट टाइम टू व्यू स्क्रीन्स और अदर पार्ट बिकॉज दे आर मोर बिजी ऑन स्कूल एंड होमवर्क नाउ बिकॉज ऑफ द पेंडेमिक द ऑन स्क्रीन टाइम हैज इंक्रीज ऑन अ हायर साइड. So this prolonged online exposure has increased threat to online safety for the children. Definitely this is the one sector that has emerged as a cause of concern. Now, with the increasing popularity of the social media platform, utilization of educational apps, and shift of the online classes, children these days are more chances of exposed to the harmful content because content filter in India is still not that restricted. Anyone can have access to any site that is not good for even the mental health and physical health of a child. So hence there's a need to secure child welfare and safety online in the more urgent need than ever required. Now, चाइल्ड सेक्सुअल अब्यूज एंड एक्सप्लॉयटेशंस की अगर बात करें, ऑनलाइन चाइल्ड सेक्सुअल अब्यूज एंड एक्सप्लॉयटेशंस रेफर टू एक्टिविटीज सच एज productions and distribution of child sexual abuse and material. They pose a serious harm to children who experience psychological stress like anxiety, trauma, and depression. So definitely the online content and psychological part of this has a lot more impact. So this can also lead to the behavior change like drug and alcohol abuse, self-harm, and lower motivations of academics. Now, kids that are under threat, this is an infographic that will give you a precise idea. In 2020, the cases of POSCO was 850 and for 2021 it was 1000, and there are a lot more things that is ongoing when it comes to the cases that is reported in POSCO. Even you can take the screenshot and you can read out the content for the revision purposes. Evolving digital landscape in India. The rapidly evolving digital landscape and awareness in information technology has given rise to better encryption services and a darknet which provides safe cover to anomalies and offenders which is engaged in the child sexual abuse. तो जिस तरह से टेक्नोलॉजी एडवांसमेंट हुई है, कुछ ऑफेंडर्स के लिए ये पॉजिटिव एस्पेक्ट्स है क्योंकि वो अपने आप को इससे टेक्नोलॉजी अपग्रेड से जो डार्क नेट है उससे भी अपने आप को छुपा पा रहे हैं. In the recent time, the danger and complexity of the online abuse has escalated an alarming rate that need to be dealt swiftly. Now, strategies to tackle online child sexual exploitation and abuse. There's an urgent need for a broad perspective and systems level approach to be considered when deciding on strategies to tackle online child and sexual exploitation and abuse. The main administrative challenges when dealing with OST are limited to law enforcement agencies, gap in legislative framework, and lack of awareness and urgency around the accused. Now, the need of the hour is have a close collaborations between the non-traditional partners from the industries, ministries dealing with technological communication and law enforcement. Now, it has made a significant efforts to tackle the wave of rising OSC case in the recent year. Now, keeping in this mind, there are a number of ways India can have a better response to the child sexual abuse and material. The recent Digital Personal Data Protection Bill issued by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology can provide an opportunity to meet this existing. This is how the thing actually works. Now, the model national response की अगर बात करें, according to the model national response, a joint review launched by the UNICEF and We Protect Global Alliance, there are 6 key dominance of the country that focuses effectively on the issues. First is with regard to policy governance, criminal justice, industries, society and culture, research, and victim support. So these are the model national response upon which the UNICEF are working in association with We Protect Global Alliances. What is the way forward in this context? The first and foremost, the need to have a collaborative efforts for the various institutions across the nations, and that require for better cyberspace. The highest priority on the assessment is to have an online content, which there should be an assessment, there should be a scrutiny, a content which is kind of a sexual exploitation and abusive in nature. So a response system has to develop, a mechanism has to be developed, and a stricter implementation of laws, adequate resources, and sustain this effort has to be there. And here the role of the law enforcement agencies play a very important role. The goal must be to ensure a long-term safeguard for online platform that will allow the navigation for minor and disruptions of the action for the offender. So this is how we can only curb it. This is not something going to be done suddenly. This will take a time. This has a long-term procedures and part has to be followed. But definitely we have to initiate. Although Government of India has a lot more schemes, but in practical, the progress is still stagnant. Now moving to the MCQ questions of the day. Before I proceed, just to tell you the answers of yesterday's questions. For first question, the correct option is C. For second question, also the correct option is C. Today's MCQ for practice. The first is New START nuclear treaty recently seen in news. The treaty between which of the following countries? India and Japan, India, Russia, USA and Russia, Japan or Russia. So check it out for the correct option. The second question is the National Center for Sustainable Coastal Management is located in New Delhi, Chennai, Gurugram or Hyderabad. So do check it out for the correct option. Practicing this type of question will help you to get an edge over the upcoming prelims examination. This was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, you can let me know. I'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.